talking about your late mom, 28 years on, talk to us what your fondest memories of her are, especially when we're talking about her fight for democracy.
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. My fondest memories of my mom was her just basically, correcting me. Yeah, I can hear you. Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so some of the fondest memories of my mom, you have to understand that I was very young when she was assassinated. So most of the memories I have is me maybe doing something wrong and she's having to correct me over time. And then she always used to pull my ears. And, some of those things I miss, because, she was very hands-on, even though she was so busy, she was still always hands-on. So when I made a mistake, she was always there to correct me. So some of those, I think those were the things. And then just the person she was, she was a very nice, humble lady. And, I don't know, she was kind of, I don't know if it was strict, I would say, because, I used to, my dad had all these different cars in the house, and she used to always make us go to school with a 504. And I used to wonder why she always did that. And later on in life, I realized that she was trying to make me understand that no matter how much wealth you might have, you should always know that it's not really always about wealth. And then you should always look at other people who don't have as much as you do and be compassionate. So I think that was one of the things I miss, that more lessons that I could have learned from her that I wasn't able to.
Yes, but you must have read commentaries about her and what she did, her role in the fight for democracy, especially supporting your father at the time. What was the most striking about the things you read?
Okay.
Especially
that I can easily tell you. First of all, my mom was not only after the fact that my dad was arrested, she was also very active during the elections. She was in charge of the North. You said she was born in Zaria. She spoke Hausa fluently, and she was, she grew up basically in the North, so she understood their culture, and she was able to deliver my father's message to them in the North in a way that they could actually receive. So yeah, she was very instrumental through that whole campaign, and even after the annulment, and being one of the leaders of the pro-democracy movement, she really wanted to make it clear that justice had to be done. I don't think she really thought that that there was anything that happened even after the annulment that couldn't have been taken back, and she just wanted to make it clear that, look, what was taken wasn't just Abiola, but the people's hope. And I think she wants to, so I was very encouraged with that. And one thing that I remember vividly was the day the military came to my father's house in Towing Street to pick my father up. They had blocked the whole Towing Street with tankers, and my cousin was in the house. My cousin Jide Hassan was in the house, and his mom was so scared that she came to pick him up. She lived on the island, so she came to pick him up. My mom walked Jide through the soldiers. I was holding her hand, and all I could see were guns. And she walked my cousin all the way to the Crescent Gate in front of all these soldiers, And she wasn't scared. She was brave, and she understood that, look, that they were just following orders. But she also said, look, she cannot have somebody else's child here when his mom is looking for him. Let me take this child to the gate. So she was very brave. She believed in Allah. The same way Allah gave me life is the same way He took her life. I don't think, I think she just knew that, look, what she does while she lived would live on after the fact. This is 28 years later, and we're still discussing the role she played. I'm encouraged with that, and I hope this would inspire young women across Nigeria and even across the globe to speak their own truth and stand for what they believe in.
Let me come to President Abu Party and social commentator. So, what role would you say that Kudirat Abiola played in ensuring in the struggle for democracy in Nigeria, and how do you think our efforts contributed to the eventual return to the civilian rule? Because one would not be able to run for presidential election, when there was no democracy. So how do you think her role the role she played made this possible for people like you?
And first and foremost, we use the opportunity to say, may the soul of Elijah Kudirat Abiola continue to rest in eternal peace. And obviously, she can you hear me?
Carry on, we can.
Yeah, she was actually an hero. And in a country like ours, where the sense of hero are actually being diminished. But during that time, I think I was young. I was just in my very early 20s. And I remember very vividly well how difficult it was during the military era of General Abacha. But what late Kudirat Abiola did, she dared the military, And if you look at it, in doing this, she gave herself. She gave us also a glimpse of our own potential to aspire for greater things. And it's not just only the women folks. She inspired all of us. And like Riley said, how is it possible for us to have democracy today? Many people might have taken for granted the democracy we have today because maybe the economic situation. But we should not forget in a hurry that there are a lot of people who died, including Elijah Kudirat Abiola, and they were just not fighting personal fights. They believed, like it was said earlier, they believed in their mind that, look, they are fighting for Nigeria. And like Riley said again, how can we say, oh, you're going to have a presidential candidate or a governorship candidate, or even if you are a councillor? My message to the political class today is this. Please, let's look back and look at the effort, the people who paid the ultimate price for what we're enjoying today, the democracy, if not in the freedom that we have today. So there is absolutely no doubt, or anyone will go out there and undermine the effort these people have made to our political development. And I had my voice to those who have been saying, the likes of Elijah Kudirat Abiola, the likes of Kensa Oruwa, and those who died during our darkest moment of our political history should be immortalized. It needs to be immortalized so that young people can read about these people and not just hear about it in passing. I'm most likely sure many young people who are listening today will be like, oh, maybe they've never heard about Elijah Kudirat Abiola. They've never heard the role she played and all of so. So I would say definitely a lot needs to be done, and she actually made a very great impact in our political history.
Now, staying with you, Sonny,